Hey, what is up everyone? My name is Guillaume, this is Thomann's Guitars and Basses, and in today's episode of Hit the Tone, we're going to talk about the song Pretty Woman by Roy Orbison. What is up guys, hope you're all having a great day today. Welcome to this new episode of Hit the Tone on Thomann's Guitars and Basses. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the song Pretty Woman by Roy Orbison, starting with a guitar setup. Now, Pretty Woman is obviously a super iconic movie, it's a super iconic soundtrack, and it's a super iconic guitar sound as well. I think it's one of those guitar sounds that you immediately know what kind of guitar, what kind of amp, and like the kind of playing that goes along with. So I think it has to be some sort of a semi-hollow guitar. He was playing it on a Gibson 335, ES 335. This is the Epiphone version of, also 335. Great guitars, those are the new model. And that particular one, look at that flame. Look at that, even on the sides. There's flaming on the sides. It is a veneer, but it's still absolutely beautiful. It doesn't need to be Gibson or Epiphone, it doesn't need to be a 335 in particular, but I think it does need to be a semi-hollow or hollow type of guitar, because there's a resonance to it, mostly in the bridge position, that you can hardly get with anything else. Like maybe a vintage spec sort of low output Les Paul could probably get close, but you still lack some of that, the open sort of characteristic to the sound, if you know what I mean. But yeah, this is going to be in that ballpark anyways. Humbucker, bridge position for that song, and some sort of semi-hollow guitar. Let's now jump onto our amp and pedal setup. And a good thing about this section, it's going to be fairly simple compared to the guitars, because we had several models of electric guitars already out in 63 or 4 whenever the song came out, but there were fewer amps really. And re-listening to the song, it was like, it has to be a Fender amp. Not only because there were the main amps available at the time, but also it's a lot more surfy than I remembered. So I don't have any precise reference. I think like as long as you have an amp that's American sounding by, our definition of American sounding amplifiers, in comparison to British sounding amplifiers, I think you'll be fine. Ideally, it would be a Fender combo with like a 12-inch speaker of some sort. We could get into like more specifics and talk about black panels amplifiers at the time, but I really don't have like a fact to give you. So Fender amp, reverb, be generous on the treble. I'll put the controls of the one that I'm using today on screen, but yeah, be generous on the treble, not too much on bass and mids. Reverb, according to taste, I think I'm on 4 or 5, which is fine, it's fairly conventional. And that's it. No pedals, no tricks, no nothing, just the guitar into the amp in the bridge position, and it sounds like this. You could argue that, yeah, it could use a little bit more reverb, a little bit less reverb, depending on the recording, depending on the room. It's not an exact science, because at the time, mics were placed somewhere close to the amp or in that general direction. It's hard to say if that was room reverb, if that was the reverb from the amp. We're aiming at like the right ballpark, and I think that this takes me to the right ballpark. So I'm going to stick to that sound, and we're going to go on to the final part of that video, which as usual is the most important, and is how to play the riff. And before we get started, please remember to check out the description box down below. I'll put links to the gear that I'm using today, a bunch more recommendations at different price points if you like that kind of sound. Also keep in mind that your guitar, it has to be tuned in E standard for that song. And with that said, let's have a closer look at how to play the riff exactly. riff in itself is fairly simple. Like there's not a lot to it. It's a 4-chord kind of melody, and you've got that nice hook that, you know, everyone knows quite literally. And it's a great song. I started playing it, and it didn't sound right. It didn't work. I couldn't figure it out. I was in the right position, playing bridge, playing the Fender. I was like, why does it sound weird? Because the trick to that particular sound is not in like the chords or whatever, it's the picking. And it's the picking right on top of the pull pieces of the bridge pickup. Like, you can play it just about anywhere, but if you want that intro to sound like just as, you know, a little bit honky, a little bit clunky, and just dry, you do want to pick like right above the bridge pickup. And then when you go into the chords, you can move around a little bit, bring some more of that warmth that you'll get by just picking closer to the neck. Yeah, that's the one, I think that's the one thing to keep in mind. Otherwise, it's not particularly complicated. It's a really nice song, nice hook to begin with, to learn some nice open chords and learn to play them cleanly. So yeah, I think that's it, guys. You have all the tools you need to hit the tone on Pretty Woman by Roy Orbison. As usual, I hope that this video was useful and maybe you've learned a thing or two today. So if so, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on the episodes that are coming next. Also, please let me know in the comments which song you'd like me to cover, and I'll get to it as soon as I can. But in the meantime, I wish you all a fantastic week, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.